Okay. Hi, I'm Maryah Greene, the plant doctor and stylist. And this is Green Thumb, the show where I show you how to add the right green to your space. Today, we're covering Fiddle-Leaf figs. We're gonna talk about all the questions you might have and the best way to care for them. I always say there's a reason I know how to care for just about every plant. It's because at one point or another, I've killed just about every plant. And believe it or not, the Fiddle-Leaf fig was the first one. The first and most important thing that you should consider before bringing home a fiddle is lighting. When I brought my fiddle home, I brought it into a room with a north-facing window. And little did I know, I was kind of setting myself up for failure. Fiddle-leaf figs enjoy lots of light, and they can often take up to 5 hours of direct light a day. If you have a fiddle-leaf fig already and you feel like it's not getting enough light, one of the things you can do to supplement that light is adding a grow light. They're awesome, especially if they come with a timer, because you can automatically set how much light it's receiving every single day. Another really important thing to consider when you're caring for your fiddle-leaf fig is water. You want to make sure that your fiddle leaf is always on a consistent watering schedule and that its pot has a drainage system. The watering schedule for your fiddle leaf fig is really dependent on how large it is and how much light it's getting. If your fiddle is getting a ton of light, you can almost assume that the water is evaporating and being absorbed at a much quicker rate. So you may only need to water it between every 1 to 2 weeks. It just depends on the size. Another common question that people have about their fiddle-leaf figs is whether or not they should use filtered water or regular water. Filtered water is the best way to go when you're caring for your fiddle-leaf fig. And whether or not you purchase it from a store or you're just using regular tap water at home, you can fill up your watering can and allow it to sit overnight. That way all the impurities can evaporate and you can use that same water to water your fig the next day. Once I brought my fiddle-leaf fig home, within about 2 weeks, I started to notice signs of unhappiness. And so naturally I thought, what do all plants love? Water. And over time, I began drowning my fiddle-leaf fig. And I kept watering it just about every other day, thinking that's what it wanted, when in reality, I was giving it way too much water and not enough light. If you find that this might be a problem you have, you can tell by looking at the leaves to see if you have any brown spots or a consistent amount of leaves dropping off or drooping on your plant. Another important thing to note though is that some common signs of healthy fiddle-leaf figs include small brown spots here and there. It just might mean that you might need to change the type of water you're using. Another common thing is seeing drooping leaves simply when your plant is thirsty, especially if you know you're keeping it on a consistent watering schedule. A common sign that you might be watering it too much is seeing fungus gnats, and that goes for all houseplants. If you're experiencing fungus gnats, you can try adding a little bit of cinnamon to the top layer of soil, but the best thing you can do is reduce the amount that you're watering your plant. Now this next tip goes hand in hand with lighting. Wiping down the leaves is one of the best things you can do for your fiddle-leaf fig. Over time, dust starts to develop over the top, and it can prevent your fig from getting as much light as it often should. So if you wipe your leaves once a month to every 6 weeks, it'll be much happier. Right after you're done wiping down your fiddle's leaves, the next best thing you can do is mist it. Misting restores moisture back into your plant's leaves, and it's something you can do as often as you want, as long as you're focusing on the top and bottom of the foliage. When you're misting your fiddle-leaf fig, you want to make sure you're using the same type of water that was in your watering can on misting day. Another common question that I get about fiddle-leaf figs all the time is how often to repot them. Now it depends on the size of the plant, but you want to generally repot it every 1 to 2 years. Common signs that it's time to repot your fiddle-leaf fig include seeing equal rates of growth and death. You might see new leaves popping up at the top, and then you might see some older leaves dropping off at the bottom. It means that the roots of your plant have completely run out of space inside of the pot, so it's time for more room. Like all houseplants, when you purchase them from a nursery or a store, you're more than likely going to find that it's in a plastic nursery pot. When you bring it home, you want to give it time to adjust, but then you want to give it a new home so the roots can finally stretch out. When it comes to fiddle-leaf figs, the same thing applies. You want to make sure that you're taking it out of the nursery pot and potting it into something that's an inch or two bigger in diameter. When you're repotting, you want to make sure you're using fresh soil and make sure that the soil has tons of drainage in it, such as perlite or some sort of volcanic rock that keeps your fiddle-leaf fig dry in between waterings. Fiddle-leaf figs come in all shapes and sizes. They can come as small as 4 inches or as massive as my first client's that's like 18 feet tall. That's all for this episode of Green Thumb. Now I hope that these fiddle-leaf fig tips were helpful and that they make caring for your fig a lot easier. Remember to subscribe to Well+Good, and I'll see you back here next time.